Hi, it's Adrian. Today's Alexander Technique Musings is an extension of the last one, really. I think my last video was entitled Change Your Thinking Before You Change Your Posture. And that was really talking about how our mental engagement with our environment changes our poise and our posture. But there's another element to that, the way we think, and that's the quality of our emotional life, what we're feeling internally. And that also very much reflects externally with our posture and our poise. Now, that's not to say one shouldn't have those feelings. Whatever you feel is the correct thing to be feeling. And it's not wrong to reflect that either. So, we have some bad news or we're feeling terrible and we're here. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's momentarily, or even, just a few hours, just during the time. It only becomes a problem when you habituate it, when you're always physically following that emotional engagement. That's probably a sign that if your emotional engagement is that strong to pull you out of whack that often, it might be worthwhile seeking some professional help. That would certainly be a consideration there. You could consider something like, there are many talking therapies, but you could consider something like Gestalt therapy, which, very interesting, like the Alexander technique, sees the mind and body as an indivisible functional whole. So they very much deal although a talking therapy, deal with the physical sensations that go with our emotions. It's quite interesting. But even if it's, you haven't got to that point where you're needing further professional help on an emotional level, it's possible to feel your emotions and not have to collapse into the physicality of it. Now, in private, it's fine. It's a fleeting moment. There's no point being judgmental about these things. It's a very human experience. But it's also possible to not display it. And what that means is, what we often do is, in an effort to not feel and deal with the emotional aspect, we kind of push it into a physicality and then ignore it. So we're not really dealing with the emotional aspect at all. So by actually choosing to come out of the physicality and be very much open, you'll notice that the emotional content is very present too. And it may not be nice, but being present to your real state is the best way to allow it to process. So you could be feeling vulnerable, and one of the problems with displaying that physically is obviously you're then displaying it to everyone. And that's the last thing you want to do if you're feeling vulnerable, display it to everyone. So if you live with your vulnerability for a moment and just be open, no one can actually see it. You're honouring it in yourself. You don't have to display it. Does that make sense? So the irony in that particular instance is that if you're not displaying it, other people, not only can they not respond to it, they're probably going to misread the cues as well, and they won't react to that physicality, albeit probably subconsciously on their behalf, by trying to take advantage of the vulnerability. So it's actually a good shield when you're feeling vulnerable, instead of denying your vulnerability, in a way to offer it, but not let anyone know that you're offering it. But by being open, by being up and out in your space, feeling the feelings you're feeling, but not, closing down, being open, and no one will know any different. No one will know, and they might actually, because people do take visual cues as a basis for what they think you're about, they'll probably misconstrue that as being confident, ironically. So don't deny your emotional state. Be present to it. Live with it. Live with yourself. Don't feel guilty if you need a good collapse to go with that emotional state. It is absolutely fine. We are only human. The point being is, make sure it's not a habit in itself. And if it's turning into a habit, start thinking about whether you may need some professional help in that area, or maybe come to the realization that you need to become more present to yourself so you're not keeping a physicality for an emotion that has already been and gone. So a lot to think about there. So if you'd like to discover more about the Alexander technique, please do get in touch. I teach here in Regent Street today, as I happen to be. So yeah, please get in touch and take care. Okay, bye.